Joey here, the Critical Missourian, where I talk about everyday life, about Missouri and beyond. Okay, something that kind of gets me, people, is I don't understand this. Is whenever you talk scientific fact to somebody, most people will act like, yeah, I don't want to hear about it. But if it supports their narrative, they're all ears. That's just something that gets me. And not to mention my beef with corporations that twist the facts to support their narrative. That their product is not going to do any harm, or some other wrong fact or misinformation, and this becoming a very bad problem in our society. I just don't understand why people would ignore all the facts that scientists can prove without a shadow of doubt that this is happening, this is the result of, or whatever the facts lead them to. I mean, it's like it's like doing detective work whenever you're doing science. But yet, again, let's say the biggest example, climate change, is the biggest one out there. Okay, you tell somebody that scientists have proven that the climate is changing and it's not going, and not for the good, or some other facts that point that we're on a slippery slope going downhill. Okay, you tell that to to some of these ultra conservatives out there, the ones that think that, oh, climate change is a myth, global warming doesn't exist, blah blah blah. This is a proof of what I'm talking about, is how when science has proven the facts, have presented their case, people do not want to hear about it or ignore it, because now they're throwing a fit because they may have to change what they're doing. It's going to cost them all tons of money and whatever. Or just like when it was proven that cigarettes caused cancer, or whatever have you. I mean, whenever the scientific facts come to light, it's a very common problem to ignore it, or cover it up, or deny it, or send the wrong information to the public. And this needs to stop. This is dangerous, people. This is very dangerous. It's like the biggest, like the misinformation campaign about COVID, about how using bleach injecting bleach will kill the virus. Well, it may do that. It may kill you at the same time. That's the part that the misinformation doesn't. That kind of ignores that part. It's mind-blowing as a number of times that everyone will do whatever it takes to ignore the uncomfortable truths. I mean, if someone brings to light something that may make a lot of people uncomfortable, it may be best to accept it head first and move on. But however, biggest problem with human nature is when we're confronted with something that scares the living daylights out of us. We want to change the facts to make us feel more comfortable, even though it's a complete fabrication or a lie. Like I said, we need to. This needs to be stopped, and I would gladly would endorse a law that makes misinformation illegal. If scientific facts do not support, or if the scientific community at large does not support some claim, then it should not be made at all. If the scientific community says that claim is wrong, then it should be struck down. If they don't know, then it should be left in a gray area with a question mark, meaning further study and analysis needs to be done. I would endorse, and anything that just flat out is wrong should be just struck out of our minds. I would support any kind of law that would do that, but here we are. We're talking about freedom to speak our minds, but yet I think the only time that free speech should be censored is if someone says something that could lead to many people dying because of someone saying something that is totally false. That's the only time I would say free speech needs to be regulated in a sort of sense. That way bad information doesn't get to people and they cause harm or death or whatever. But this is a bad problem. I mean, I may get a lot of people to say may disagree with me, but this is just my own personal opinion. It probably doesn't resonate with the rest of America, but hey, I'm just concerned that all this is for the right. I'm concerned for the right reason, because I just don't like the idea of all these misinformation campaigns that could lead to tens, hundreds, thousands, millions of people dying because a company or an individual or whoever makes a strong claim, but it's based on nothing but falsehood or whatever. Like I said, there was a misinformation campaign for many years in the tobacco industry, saying, "Oh, they're safe, they won't harm you," or whatever, and that was like way on when. It took many decades to really get the point across that no, the information that the tobacco company has been nothing but a pack of lies, and they've been spreading false information to protect their profits. But in the meantime, thousands and millions of people are dying from smoking-related diseases because thousands to a million people, a lot of people are dying because of smoking-related diseases, because the lies and misinformation and the contortion of the scientific facts that fit their own narrative. I mean, that this is just proves the point. We need to put it. I'm just going to close this out with a simple thing. People, like I said, people need to stop running away whenever when a scientist poses a fact that the whole community has supported and says this is what it is. Then you might, and you need to accept it, whether you like it or not. 2, misinformation that contorts that fact, that fits as a different narrative or protects someone's profits or ideologies or whatever. That needs to stop. We need to put a stop to that. I mean, if someone can't have half a brain to figure out that twisting facts to fit a small-minded narrative is more dangerous than anything else, because you're just spreading a lie that could affect a lot of people. We need to stop politicizing science and let science be science. Let it run independently of everybody else. That's another one of our biggest problems. Politicians who wish to get their grubby, dirty nose straight into science to dig up something that fits, again, goes back to that fits their narrative. That we need to tell politicians, butt out. If a scientist comes up with a scientific fact, he should be applauding someone for coming up with something that no one else ever thought about, or discovering something new, or some inventor come up with something surprisingly different that could be useful. Politics should stay out of science. I can see if they want to contribute donations to a scientific foundation. I can see that is a good benefit. That's another thing I would like to see, is more contributions, and less. The biggest problem that I've seen and read about science, about how the scientific community works, sadly, is like whenever there's a grant to be given, it usually goes to more mainstream ideas and subjects, but no one wants to take in it and investigate ideas that are not mainstream, that could lead to a new discovery or a new breakthrough. No one wants to do that. I mean, that's sad. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand that scientists need to find ideas that can make a profit, but on the other end of the spectrum, they have to be able to explore all options, exhaust every idea before calling it good. Because, yeah, I mean, I know I'm going on a wild tangent, but I'm passionately speaking about the fact that this this is a big problem that needs to be regulated and stopped. Is I can understand, like I said, I can understand that scientists need to make money for the organization that they work for, but on the other hand, that organization needs to be open-minded and explore all options. Don't close out an idea. I mean, try to investigate it, see if it gets anywhere. Maybe it's a dead end, maybe not. You never know unless you try. I mean, I'm sorry about that tangent, but yes. But again, that's just another thing I have my beef with. Is too much politics in the science in a different level. The level I was speaking about earlier is politicians manipulating science, and then the politics inside the scientific community needs to be a little more fluid, because there's apparently there's no fluidity. So I don't know. I'm just stating my criticisms about how things are, but yes, like I said, please, please, people, stop ignoring what your politicians are telling you. Stop listening to what a person on TV tells you. If a scientist comes forward and says something, you might want to take ears and be a little, but also, oh yeah, I forgot that before. Be careful of the information that a scientist has told can tell you too. If it's not supported by the wider community, then I would be skeptical a little bit, because unfortunately there is a very big problem where scientists are paid to say something to the public that supports that narrow-minded narrative. Like, again, going back to the smoking thing, that's the best example I can think of, is scientists were paid to support that narrative that smoking is good for you. It's not going to do any harm. They were paid to do to say this, just to mislead the public. I mean, when one or two, when like a handful of scientists say something, and then the rest of the community says that's much larger, says something totally different, then I would be a little more skeptical about that information. That's something else that needs to that I need to address, is paying. There needs to be accountability where the money is coming from, going to these scientists. If these scientists are getting money from a special interest, like a think tank or some special interest group, whatever, that wants a scientist to investigate their interest to expand like how to drill deeper for more oil or whatever that. um, instead of doing something that does for the greater good for all. That is where I would start putting a little bit of um, question on ethics. It's like, who is the scientist serving? And is he serving the public, or is he serving a special interest? That's something you got to keep in mind, and that's one thing that needs to be attacked on more. More skeptical thinking on where the money is paying that scientist from. I mean, that's also scary. That right there scares me. Is when, like I said, lies are spouted from scientists paid from the consortium to spin their narrative that their product is not is what better than their competition, and other scientists say no, it's a complete sham or something to that effect. That right there, to me, is a violation of ethics code. There should be there should be a code of ethics. I think there is in the scientific field. I'm not 100% sure, but this should be put in the scientific. It's just the same way with our judges, politicians, everyone with authority. I mean, if they could be, if a special interest can make a donation and make you make laws, bend laws to fit their narrative, then that could be that right there is a violation of ethics. I mean, if you're a politician doing that, I feel sorry for you, because you're doing more damage to this democracy by doing that. It's the same way with scientists. Them taking donations, grants, and gifts from questionable organizations. That is very scary, because they could spend more misinformation. That's scary. But it proves one of my points. We have a lot of issues in the scientific community with ourselves as a society. We tend to, like I said earlier, we tend to ignore facts that point to one direction, even though we want to put mule blinders on and say, "Oh, it's not happening. It's not happening." We want to try to. We have to worry about people contorting facts to fit a special interest narrative, or small-minded group like flat earthers. I'm sorry, but that contorting, saying that we need to make sure that code of ethics needs to be laid down, that all monies going to a scientist must be scrutinized, and the politics inside the scientific community needs to be a little more flexible and more fluid. and be open-ended to new ideas and new directions, even though it may not be the direction that follows the mainstream. Another thing, politicians need to butt out. Need to butt out of science. Let the scientists do their jobs without interference with the government. And these are the points that I want to point out that I have issues with in the scientific community. It's just, we just need to do better as a society, because all this, like I said, these issues that I pointed out is going to lead us into a dark area if we don't get this under control. So, this is the Critical Missourian. I'm signing out.